Hi, this is BossTL. It's September 23 and it is Duke's first anniversary. Hello mga boss, this is BossTL again and welcome to my vlog. Today is September 23 and it has been a year since we officially got Duke Orange, this KTM Duke 200 from KTM BGC. So it has been a year. Kamusta na nga ba experiences natin sa ating KTM Duke 200? In this episode, naisip natin gumawa ng 1-year review of our Duke 200.
Do it! Just do it!
Hindi ito yung typical review ng KTM. It is more of a personal impressions dito sa bike natin after using it for a year. And the best way to highlight my feedback is to present the pros and cons na nakita natin dito sa bike na to during this time I had used the bike. But before anything else, balikan natin yung panahon kung bakit nga ba tayo bumili ng KTM Duke 200. Usually, I bring the car to the office, pero ang hirap kasi talaga mag-park pag kotse ang dala dun eh. So, I normally end up bringing my small scooter. Ginusto ko na kumuha ng mas malaking motor as compared to a scooter. Not necessarily a big bike, but at least a standard bike. Yung tipong di ka mamaliitin sa daan. I was actually considering an R15, TFX, and Duke 200. And as you know, I ended up with Duke 200 primarily because kasi mukhang big bike at first glance. So yun nga, exactly a year ago, we bought our KTM Duke 200 from KTM BGC in cash. And been using this bike going to the office and long rides. Natengka lang talaga siya during this pandemic, kaya mababa pa yung odometer niya. In our limited time spent with our Duke Orange or this Duke 200, so ano nga ba yung mga na-observe natin? So let's start with the pros. So the first pro that we have observed, power and torque. Kakaiba talaga siya, as in grabe. Well, at least in his category, angat siya sa iba. This is not the first 200cc bike na nagkaroon tayo, but definitely iba ang torque nitong si Duke 200 if you would compare it with other 200cc and below na bikes. The engine is 4-stroke dual overhead cam with 4 valves single cylinder engine. It produces about 26 horsepower and a torque of around 20 Newton meter. Kabisado ko yan kasi isa yan sa mga inalam ko talaga noon. Duke 200 is one hell of a torque bike. Definitely, you will be happy with the power ng bike to, lalo na kung ikaw yung tipong mahilig sa mabibilis na arangkadahan from stop. Ika nga ni KTM, it is ready to race. Talagang pangareran datingan niya. Kasi gustong-gusto na ito yung umaarangkada. I think it is primarily because of the setup of the engine, and also I think the sprocket combination is also set up for sprintty acceleration. Ano ibig sabihin nun? So, ika nga, mabilis mo makuha yung 100 kph if you would put it into perspective. Now, this bike is set up for acceleration on the downside na sinasacrifice niya yung top speed.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Ibang usapan na talaga yung when it comes to the top speed discussion. Although hindi ko pa talaga siya nasasagad talaga, but based on usual feedback, the most it can do is 135 kph. Yun na yun. You can't go above 135 kph unless of course pababaha yung kalsada. Even an Aerox na kargado can actually do 140 kph. Basta mahaba lang yung buwelo, but it can reach up to 140 kph, right? Tignan mo na lang si Motodeck. But with the Duke 200, cannot really go beyond 135. At pag pinilit mo masyado to to reach the top speed, you would actually be worried in a way. Kasi parang alam mo yun, masyadong ma-vibrate ang engine tsaka yung handlebar. Parang gigil na gigil yung makina, parang sasabog. Well, probably isa lang naisip ko because when I was actually trying to achieve the top speed, nandun pa siya sa break-in period eh. So, probably that would explain it. The sprocket combo for this bike is set up for acceleration. Ang laki ng sprocket niya sa likod. It can actually reach 100 kph faster. Beyond that, magsa-struggle na siya trying to achieve a higher speed. Now, the second pro, we go with the looks. Kaya nga na nasabi ko earlier, sa segment niya, stand out siya with its big bike feel. From a first glance, kapag kakamala mo talaga siyang big bike. Neck breaker nga daw siya, sabi ng karamihan. Sa stoplight kasi, talagang nililingo naman talaga siya. To be honest, beauty is really subjective. Pero you will get the idea naman when you see many eyes looking at your bike. Well, if you could consider overall, the looks of this bike is superb. Actually, it's really beautiful.
Wow!
This is one very huge factor for beginners who want to upgrade to a bigger bike. The size is just right. It's not too big, but definitely bigger than most standard bikes. Very deceiving nga yung itsura niya eh. It will be a very good prospect for those who would want to have a big bike feel, but not yet ready for the real big bike. Tulad ko, nung nagsisimula ako. The weight of the bike is around 131 kilograms. Di siya ganun kabigatan, magaang siya if you would actually consider the looks of the bike. So, kayang-kaya siya at di ka mabibigla if you're someone coming from an underbone or a scooter. However, medyo top-heavy siya. But I'll discuss that later, okay? The next good thing about this bike is its price. This European bike at a price lower than other 150cc Japanese bikes like Yamaha MT-15, the R15, the Honda CB R150, GSX R150, etc. It is only 150k, while those I mentioned sell at around 160 to 165k. Medyo mas mababa talaga siya. KTM even offers 10,000 discount during some special promotions. It is a well-known fact na rin naman kasi that the KTM has sourced out the assembly of some of its KTM models, including this Duke 200. Meron na ngayon silang planta sa Santa Rosa, sa Laguna, and that definitely brought the prices down kasi wala na additional taxes na babayaran when you import those bikes. That alone brought the prices down and made it more affordable sa mga Filipinos. For the price, it is not bad kasi you are getting some premium features already like cast aluminum swing arm, upside down fork, massive Vibre disc brakes, underbelly exhaust, and of course yung trellis frame niya. But then again, what this bike really lacks in terms of safety features, sana sinama na rin nila yung ABS, slipper clutch, and LED lights, you know. Well, the thing I understand naman that if you would include these features into the bike, tataas ang presyo. But then again, you know, it's worth considering, right? Lastly, for the pros. Honestly, this one depends kung sino yung gagamit. Pero I really like how soft the suspension is. Designed siya for touring, I think. Malambot kasi yung likod niya. Siyempre, yung may hihilig sa banking would want a stiffer ride. Pero ako kasi, I would really prefer it this way para hindi masakit sa katawan on long rides. Talagang pang touring siya. It is very comfy, lalo na pag tipong may nadadaan ng kang lubak-lubak. It absorbs the bumps of the roads. So, for me, it is a good characteristic of this bike. So, I wouldn't really change it. So, ayun. Yan yung mga nakita nating maganda dun sa Duke 200. Now, hindi porket madaming maganda, wala siyang downside. Actually, madami din yan. So, let's start with the very first one. Ang unang-una sa listahan natin na disadvantage ng Duke 200, actually, ng KTM in general, is its reputation na sirain daw. Kaya overheating, sirain yung stator, prone to oil leaks. Okay, just to clarify, in 1 year that I have this bike, or basically 3,000 kilometers, wala pa naman ako na-encounter na sira sa bike ko, no? But then, hearing all this recurring feedback about the brand, you know, about the bike that you have, somehow, medyo worrisome yun.
Paano masabi? Natanong ko nga.
Siyempre, yung peace of mind mo affected as well. You can think of it in either positive or negative. Positive kasi you will know what to watch out for. Negative kasi it takes out the peace of mind in riding, lalo na kung long drives ang balak mo. So, yun, right? So, we go to the second cons, which is pretty much related. Second cons of Duke 200 ay yung engine heat. It is a well-known issue na ng Duke, lalo na nung pre-2017 models, mostly dahil sa design ng radiator fan yan eh. They already addressed the issue by designing a new cowling dun sa radiator fans. So supposedly, wala na dapat issue ng overheating. But then again, the temperature gauge often reaches the max level of 10 bar sa temp gauge niya. As in, sagad. Nakakabori lang kasi, alam mo, isang bar na lang, sagad ka na. So, pag tumaas pa yan, overheat na yan, di ba? So, yun yung worry doon. Lalo na pag nata-traffic ka pa. And, the heat coming from the engine, mainit nga siya if you would compare it with other bikes of the same cc. Okay, third cons for this bike. Its reputation na madaling masira ang stator. Again, hindi pa naman nasira yung stator ko while it is with me. So, it's only been a year, right? But then again, the reputation na madaling masunog daw yung stator niya, especially if you will add auxiliary lights or non-OEM electrical loads.
Once na marami tayong nilagay ng mga accessories like auxiliary light,
ayun, worry ko ngayon, hindi tuloy ako makapaglagay ng additional mini driving light without worrying about the negative effect sa lifespan ng stator. Yung iba kasi 10K pa lang daw nasusunugan na ng stator, yung iba mas mababa. Simply because they added additional lights, etc., etc. If I would be planning to put a mini driving light, it is a gamble on my end. Again, it boils down to the peace of mind. Now, isa pa sa pinaka-downside ng Duke 200, a letdown nga yung absence ng ABS. Well, na-mention na natin earlier yun, di ba? ABS is a huge safety feature na dapat meron ng mga bigger displacement bikes, or at least yung katulad ng Duke 200 pataas, di ba? From my point of view, kung kaya ng motor mo mag-accelerate ng mabilis, it should be able to stop safely real quick as well. Yung tipong hindi maglalak yung gulong. And that brings us to another cons of this bike. Madulas ang stock tires niya. As in, madulas. Malaki ang tendency nito talaga mag-skid. Simply because the rear is locked up and the tires slid. Alam ko naman nasa skills din naman ng rider talaga yon. But since they are introducing this to beginners like me, ika nga beginner's bike, sana the features should be there. The ABS and the good tires. Lalo na tipong beginners ang gagamit nun, the safety features should be there in the first place. Okay, another cons of this bike, and this would really hurt those that are coming from underbones and scooters. This bike has an expensive maintenance. One thing na dapat matanggap agad ng mga bibili ng Duke 200 is that if you buy this bike, it will already have a big bike maintenance as well. Hindi lang naman siya mukhang big bike, it will also have that big bike maintenance. We're talking about cost-wise. Let's just consider this. A simple change oil netong Duke 200, automatic, that's 2K. So if you're coming from an underbone, you budget 500 for the usual change oil, minsan mas mababa pa, and that's it, right? Dito hindi, 2K ang kailangan mo i-budget. That's for the change oil lang. And that is not to mention yung parts nito. Parts ng KTM, presyong pang kotse ang mga pyesa niyan. Especially if you will buy the original KTM power parts. As in madugo, it's really expensive. So that's one thing you have to take in consideration if you are planning to buy the Duke 200. So we go to the last cons that I saw for this bike. So basically, one of the main reasons you are buying Duke 200 is you want to upgrade to a big bike level, but it's either afraid to go to the real big bike performance agad kasi hindi ka pa sanay, so you want a starter bike, or you want a big bike but budget wise hindi pa kaya, so you start off with the Duke 200. So if you have a big bike in mind, I would probably suggest you skip the Duke 200. Why did I say this? Kasi if you buy the Duke 200, it will only take you a month or 2 months and you will have this itch to upgrade to a higher displacement bike. Yun kung you're really targeting a big bike, diba? Tipong once you get used to the Duke 200, you want to try a higher displacement bike. That's what happened to me. Mukha nga siyang big bike pero sumisingit-singit ka sa traffic sa service road. Primarily because you cannot use the expressway. It is not expressway legal, and that's one big cause for this bike. If you're really eyeing for a big bike, I would probably suggest save up a little more and go for the Duke 390 na agad. Diretso ka na sa big bike, di ba? Iwasan mo na yung phase na you start off with a starter bike then move to a bigger bike. Mapapadoble lang yung gastos mo kasi you'll have to sell the bike, the depreciation was already there, tapos you'll have to add additional money to buy the bigger bike. So, punta ka na diretso doon, di ba? So, that's my feedback about our Duke 200 during the 1 year that the bike has been with us. Again mga boss, this is just based on my observation. Others may not agree, but then they may have their own experiences with their own bike. Iba-iba naman kasi tayo ng mga travels, experiences, and how we use our bike. So expected na yun that we will have different takes on the same matter. And this is my take based on my own experiences. So will I recommend Duke 200 after all has been? Of course yes, Duke 200 is definitely a good base bike, even with its shortcomings. Honestly, if not for the major letdown, it cannot take the expressway, I would not be even thinking of upgrading. So most likely, if you would live somewhere na walang expressways like in Visayas and Mindanao, Duke 200 is more than enough for your needs.
Yeah.